around the room that you haven't seen recently and shake their hand, hug their neck, whatever you feel led to do. Let's stand and greet one another. Well, let's gather up for our invocation and our Pledge of Allegiance, and also for the National Anthem. I want to call on Scott McLaughlin to come up at this time, and also John Brown. John, are you here close by? John, would you come on up? We're about to have our invocation, but before we have that invocation, John, why don't you come and share what you'd like to talk about?
Thank you. I don't know how many of you know that my wife died on Monday night, and it was a real surprise. We were just at a restaurant eating, and she choked and aspirated the food, and by the time the paramedics got there, there was no heartbeat. So she passed away on Monday night after we got results of a number of tests and removed the ventilator. So I just keep Jan in your prayers. She fought the good fight, and I was so proud of her. Thank you.
Thank you, John. And one thing to add is the funeral service will be held on the 9th of... Yeah, you...
That was the primary thing I wanted to tell y'all. Saturday, November 9th, at 10 o'clock at Highland Park Methodist Church in the sanctuary.
Thank you, John. Now, Scott, take it away. Here we
go. I guess I'd like to start with just a moment of silence for Jan, and just in her remembrance. If you would stay bowed with me. Dear Heavenly Father, we are grateful for the opportunity to come together in fellowship and service to others. We thank you for the many blessings you've given us, for the opportunity to make a positive impact on the lives of those we serve. May our actions be a testament to the principles of service, integrity, and hope that Rotary stands for. Bless this meal before us. May it nourish our bodies and energize our spirits as we work together to make the world a better place. We pray for those in need. May our efforts bring relief and hope to those less fortunate. We pray especially for those who are caught up in turmoil, chaos, and conflict. We pray especially for this country as we approach such a critical and volatile state of divisiveness, that we would recognize that we are all Americans and that being respectful of different opinions has been our strength since our inception. Please give us discerning hearts, clear thoughts, and wise deliberations both in local and worldly matters as we conduct the business of Rotary. We ask that you impart your wisdom and grace upon us, strengthen us in our faith, and fill us with the gift of your Holy Spirit today and always. Amen. Oh, I'm sorry. You would join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The national anthem.
Thank you, and you can be seated. I want to ask Mark Casher if he wouldn't mind taking the Happy Bucks bucket around, and we want to find out if anyone has anything they'd like to tell us about that they're happy about today. So if you have something that you're happy about, lift your hand, and Mark will come over, take a few dollars from you, and you can say what you'd like to say. Okay, we don't want to hear from you.
Oh, I know you don't. Even though we have 75% of our salary cap on the bench, I'm still confident that the Niners are going to take care of you guys this weekend. So go Niners.
Knew that was coming.
Disregard that last statement.
All right, maybe Nate can make it better.
Go Dogs.
Oh, now.
No. I want to encourage people to get out and vote. And please check the precinct number on your ballot when you do vote. That'll avoid any incorrect voting that's been going around. But get out and vote, please.
Thank you, Nate. Are there others that'd like to express some happiness? There's Tom. Tom Rhodes, you're going to have to go all the way across the room to get to him, but I'm sure it's going to be worth it. And then Eric has something in a minute.
We'll start with Eric, since we're right here.
Last week we had, I went to the podium to ask people to donate for the Salvation Army Thanksgiving lunch, and we've got everything we needed plus some, so I thank everyone who donated. Thank you.
That's great news. Thank you.
This week, I think all of us got, Sarah Ollier sent out an email describing each one of the speakers, the 5 speakers that we're going to be listening to today. I am so impressed with you ladies. Any one of you ladies could be running Southwest Airlines or Boeing. So welcome, and we're glad you're here.
We're happy about it, that's for sure.
All right, Ruth.
As an attorney, I was frequently in court, but never as a defendant.
Put it close to your mouth, Ruth. So
I am going to be a defendant in a lawsuit on Tuesday, and if you're well, I mentioned it once before, the GAF shingle factory, which was responsible for Shingle Mountain. Well, the city won't do anything about it, and so I participated in a peaceful demonstration, and now we're going to see whether the city will fine us for that peaceful demonstration or tell the city they should do something.
all right, Ruth. Thank you. Anyone else? And now we have our introduction of guests, and Mark, if you will stay with that for us for a little while. Are there any guests that you'd like to introduce today?
I'd like to introduce my friend Jason Metcalf. Jason is a Dallas native. He's an SMU grad. His business has been in business consulting. That goes from IT all the way to HR or whatever. Jason is currently a candidate for District 1 Dallas County Commissioner. Please welcome Jason Metcalf.
This is my new friend, Carly Campbell. I understand she was invited by Travis to attend today, and we're so glad to have her. She's the Development Director for the Foundation for Choice, which works with young people and their plans for after graduation. So we're very, very happy to welcome Carly Campbell.
Welcome.
Are
there
Mark,
others?
Oh, yeah, right here. Mark
Okay.
Neese and I both want to welcome Travis Scheck here. Travis is, here, I'll let Travis introduce himself.
Oh, I'm Travis. No, I work with Mark and know Eric and a few others. Work with Spectrum Financial Group, but really here to just meet great people and do good things. So, thank you.
I saw Travis yesterday at lunch, so glad you're here.
Kathy Wall.
This is Martha Jackson. She runs an extremely successful podcast called The Bubble Lounge. It's everything about the community, and you need to listen. It is fantastic. She's down at the field. She's everywhere in the community. So welcome Martha Jackson of The Bubble Lounge.
That's great. Thank you. Are there others that we need to introduce?
There's one at our table.
Okay.
From People Newspapers. Yes, we have to introduce you.
This is Sarah. She just sat next to me, but she's here with People Newspaper, and this is her first time here.
Welcome. Glad that you're here, Sarah. All right. Well, thank you, Mark Casher, for taking that around. Now we have a marketplace advertiser announcement. Mark Neese.
All right. Anyone here today who is a current marketplace advertiser, will you please stand? Is there anybody attending today that's a marketplace advertiser? Great. So we have a few here. So in order to keep our pre-programmed stuff a little short today, I'm just making a quick announcement. We do have spots available. If you pick up the hub that's on your table, you look on the back of the hub. All of our marketplace advertisers are featured every week on the back of the hub. So that's one point. We are working on getting more recognition on the website and on our social media channels, doing some spotlights and things like that for the marketplace advertisers. So we're working on bringing even more value to that. We do have spots available at Q4 pricing now. We decided a couple of years ago to prorate the fee based on what quarter of the year. So it's a little bit cheaper than, a little bit less expensive, I should say, not cheap. A little bit less expensive than the full year. And we also have an additional opportunity for anyone who wants to, a current advertiser or someone who wants to purchase an ad. For only $350 add-on, you can have SyncLab Media produce a 60-second business promo video for you that you can use as your announcement during the meetings when you're featured. So just wanted to make those two things known to everyone. If you have any questions or want to purchase an ad, please come and talk to me. Thanks.
Thank you, Mark. And Sean Johnson and his associate is going to come up at this time and make an announcement about the Christmas tree lighting.
Good afternoon, everyone. Sean Johnson, Parks Director of City of University Park. So as you all know, Snyder Plaza is under construction. We are happy to announce that the 6600 block opened as of yesterday, but it's still not enough room for us to safely have our annual tree lighting. So our annual tree lighting has moved to Centennial Park, formerly known as Gore Park. And so Mrs. Jackson will talk about some of the activity that's taking place. We are still finalizing volunteer opportunities. We'll get back with Nolan and let him know about those opportunities for Rotary to participate as they have in the past. The merchants in Snyder Plaza are on board. They'll still be participating in this year's event. And Kaylin will tell you a little bit more about the actual event on December 1st, beginning at 3 o'clock.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kaylin Jackson. I oversee special events and reservations for UP Parks. As Sean mentioned, we are gearing up for this year's tree lighting. Again, it will be on Sunday, December the 1st. That is the Sunday after Thanksgiving. This year's time will be from 3 until 7. So we will be at Centennial Park this year. To kick off the event at 3:30, we will actually be having a dedication ceremony for the park signage, and also we'll be burying the Centennial time capsule that we put together for the city's centennial celebration. And we will also be honoring the donor plaques and the Preservation Park Cities marker that will be at the park. So we will have a quick dedication ceremony for that at the beginning of the event at 3:30, and then following that, it will be on to the festivities. So as Sean mentioned, we will still have the Snyder Plaza merchants out, so we'll have all of that good food there at the park, as well as other vendors there for you all to patronize. And then we will be also having ice rink as we did last year. Additional amenity this year will be a snow slide, so that will be super fun for the kiddos. Real ice, so that'll be all good. We'll be bringing in the snow even if we don't have any. So fun kid zone, food, and also the entertainment acts that we usually have, so lads and lassies, all of the ballet groups. So it'll be sure to be a good time. So please come out. Again, that is Sunday, December the 1st. 3 until 7. We also are still open to any sponsors that are interested in sponsoring the event. We do have a few handouts if anyone is interested. This has all the information regarding the sponsorship opportunities that we have for this year. And so if you all have any questions, please feel free to reach out to myself or Sean over at the Parks Department. So we're excited to see you all on December the 1st. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Let's give them a hand. According to our bylaws, I need to read the slate of officers for the next year, 2025 through 26. So just bear with me as I read this list. If you want to follow along with me, it's in the hub, and you can see the list of names there. President-elect Mark Casher, Vice President Eric Harrison, Secretary Patty Schwab, Treasurer we're trying to find a new treasurer. Leo has had to step aside because of business pressures that he has. Director 1, Susan Harris. Director 2, Sergio Pope. Director 3, Jill Jordan. Director at Large, Happy Franklin. Director 4, Van Oliver. Director 5, Herb Zev. Director 6, Siobhan Abraham. Director 7, Mark Neese. Past president, me. And then that's a happy day. Anyway, Sergeant at Arms, Jack Carpenter, and parliamentarian Richard Gillum. And the president for next year is going to be Sarah Ollier. So I left the best, not the best, but a good one for last. There we go. So that is the list of our incoming, or those that you'll be voting on soon. And on the November 15th meeting, we'll have that vote. And I'm sure you'll want to be here for that as well. All right. Then a couple of other announcements. The North Texas Food Bank Packing Day is going to be tomorrow, and is from 9 o'clock to 11:30. And if you've not signed up for it, you can do that online. I was there the last time. I'm going to be at Baylor Homecoming tomorrow, so I can't do that. But if anybody that would like to be a part of that, please sign up. And then no Friday meeting on 11/29 because of Thanksgiving, so just remember that. Now, for the raffle drawing, Kathy Wall. Kathy, if you have all the stubs. So you get to pick the winner. Now this is the one who gets this has the opportunity to draw the ace of spades from a stack of cards that we have that is slowly going down as people fail. But we have $572. that's available. Half of that would be available to the one who draws the ace of spades. Now the number is 1430. Who has 1430?
Now, I admit that I thought 5 tickets, and I can't find them. They may be back in here. So I think we should try again if no one can read their ticket.
Well, okay, then I will pick another one. How's that?
I would keep picking.
Okay, here we go. All right. 1439. That might be hers too. It's one off the previous one. Okay, well,
Okay, let's keep trying.
I am going to keep trying. Well, I just dropped all the cards.
I'll get them.
Okay. Thank you, Kathy. I'm messing up here. The next number is 1389.
Come on, people. Yay! Okay, you gotta wait. We don't want, no
You
cheaters
can't be
allowed.
looking at it, Scott. Here, I'll
There we go. All right, here we go, sir.
Thank you, Kathy. And Scott, you have the dubious distinction of picking one. Just one. Jack, so you get to keep that. So congratulations. This pot is going up, up, up. So hopefully in the next few months, or maybe never, we'll have a winner for that. All right, then next thing we need to do is we have our Sarah Olier needs to come. She is the chair of the day, and she's going to introduce our program. And we appreciate you greatly, Sarah.
And if you want to come up and take your seats, and I'll do the introductions as y'all get comfortable. So the first is Tara Cosgrove. She's Boone Elementary's 5th PTO, or PTO president. And she served various leadership roles without the Greater Park District's HPISD District Leadership Committee, HP Education Foundation Mad for Plaid representative. She works with the Raider Drama Booster Club and the Raider Choir Booster Club, and she's in the Junior League of Dallas. She and her husband Ryan have 3 children. And next we have Rachel Reed, and Rachel is the PTA president for Armstrong Elementary. Or I'm sorry, Bradfield. You're right, Bradfield. And she has a BA from Vanderbilt University, and she worked in an MBA from UT Austin, and she formerly worked for ExxonMobil's finance organization, and she and her husband David have 2 children. Melinda Smith is the president for University Park Elementary School's PTO, and she is the 2023 UP Elementary Auction chair, as well as UP Preschools Association Up All Night fundraising event chair. She has served on HPISD's District Leadership Committee and was previously HP Education's Foundation Mad for Plaid representative. Melinda is a former 3rd grade teacher at Bradfield, and I can attest to that, how wonderful she is, because she taught my son. And she currently works full-time for Ben E. Keith and Company. Anne is the current PTA president for Hire. Anne is an Aggie. And she is the current executive director of Kershaw's Challenge, the charity founded by Los Angeles Dodgers pitcher Clayton Kershaw. She is a published author, and she has 2 sons, and actually I forgot to mention Melinda has 4 kiddos. And Anne has 2 sons, both Hire Huskies. And Kate is Armstrong's Park Cities, like their local elementary school campuses. But she woke up with a fever today, so she thought she would not grace us with her presence. But we appreciate her time and talent. And what I thought is interesting about the PTAs, and when they sent all of their bios to me, Armstrong, Kate is the 110th PTA president, which really, I mean, what is, they're 110 years of anything, right? It's really very remarkable, and it shows the dedication of the parents and the community to all the individual campuses over the years. So do we have a microphone? Okay, so we have one. So a couple housekeeping rules. When it's maybe your turn, you're obviously will take the mic, and then there might be a couple questions where we just go around and have each of you answer. In order for the room to hear, you'll have to have the mic, right? And have it close, okay? And be mindful if you're turning and talking. Okay, nobody's gonna hear. So we'll just kind of make it work with the 2 mics that we have so everybody around the room can hear. So I guess let's just kind of start out with some general questions. First, let me get to my questions page. Let's see. How many years has your school had a PTA? And then the second question is, how many students attend your campuses?
Well, we're the baby, so I'll start first. Boone is only 5 years old. This is our 5th year, so we have a PTO at Boone. We've had it for 5 years. We have 464 students currently enrolled this year.
At Higher Elementary, we are celebrating our 75th birthday this year, which is very exciting. So we have had 75 years of a PTA, 75 PTA presidents, and we have about 480 kids this year.
Well, UP was founded in 1928, so I am the 96th PTA president, and we currently have 462 students enrolled at UP.
And at Bradfield, we are 99 years old, so I'm the 99th president, and we're excited for next year celebrating our centennial. And we're the biggest elementary. We go preschool through 4th and have about 560 kiddos.
And Rachel, maybe let's, I guess, start with you since you have the microphone. Can you briefly describe what is the function of a PTA, and maybe it's not brief, president at your school?
Sure. I think it's twofold from my perspective, and I think these other ladies will share from their perspectives as well. Thank you. Two things. One is to build community and kind of that relationship between the students and the staff and the parents and the families and the neighborhood where we reside, building community. Another thing that's, I think, especially unique for our Highland Park elementary schools is the fundraising work that we do to provide vital operational funding to the school and all of the things that we as a PTA will support financially at the school across kind of all aspects, whether I'll actually pause there and you guys can kind of share examples of the things that the PTAs pay for.
Rachel answered that very well. Like she said, fundraising is a big part of our job, as also building the relationship between our staff and our families and community. We have a lot of different events we put on at our schools. So UP today is our carnival. So when I leave here today, I'm gonna go home and change clothes and get ready for our carnival and start helping out there. We have a pumpkin day next week. We have had a bike rodeo. We did a readathon already this year, and we just have lots of different events throughout the year that our PTA is responsible for. And through our fundraising, we are allowed, it enables us to give back to our school. So we, all of our schools have a fall gift and a spring gift where we're able to use our hard-earned PTA fundraising dollars to give back to our school.
The one thing that I'll add is I think that what I notice at Higher, and I know these ladies can speak to as well, is there's a real sweet tradition of the PTA. Bike rodeo has been around forever at Higher. I'm a graduate of Higher, so there are some really significant traditions of the PTA, events of the PTA, certainly the mission of the PTA that has been passed down for generations. And in this community, I just know how significant that is. And so we really take our job seriously in terms of providing funds that the school needs that we otherwise do not have due to, a number of different things, and making sure that our kids are receiving exceptional programming academically and then also socially. So we love our job. It's a really sweet gig.
And I'm going to jump in with a little bit and have you maybe take the next question.
I didn't have anything to add anyway. I think that's great. They did so well.
So 70% of every property tax dollar in HPISD is recaptured by the state of Texas and to be redistributed to the lower income school districts, resulting in a budget gap of 7 to 8 million annually for HPISD. And this is, of course, across all of the campuses, and we have the elementary school representatives with us today. So obviously you've heard each of them mention how important all of their fundraising efforts are. So I guess, Tara, could you say, I guess, what your fundraising goal is this year and how that money would be, I guess, allocated in what you're trying to support?
Sure. Our fundraising goal this year is to give about $600,000 back to Boone. We will raise more than that. We use the rest to put on, programming and do various things. Typically, we give quite a lot more than our goal, but we try to budget conservatively. The money goes towards, all of us cut a check to Highland Park ISD that goes straight to district level salaries. We supplement our teachers' salaries in fairly substantial ways in the form of gifts, cash. We pay for them to have free lunches. We support all of the technology at Boone, if that's subscriptions, if that is iPads, Chromebooks, depending on the grade. We contribute towards any teachers who would like to get their master's degree. We supplement their continuing education. We pay entirely for our Spanish program and our garden program. And we also, and all of these things are across the board for all of us. We also fully fund the school cafeteria. Highland Park doesn't pay any funds towards our cafeteria. The PTO pays for everything. If the oven breaks, the food, the staff, and then we do have, at Boone we have 4 full-time staff members, but the rest of the cafeteria is manned by an army of mother and father volunteers. So that saves the district quite a lot of money.
And do you want to talk a little bit more about the cafeteria and just, I guess, the scope of what you all do and, I guess, and just running that annually?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is across the board as well. We have a tremendous cafeteria staff on, district employees, but then 100% of our volunteers, of those serving the children day in and day out are volunteers. So we have, just like Tara was saying, a robust committee of go-getter moms and dads. The dads clubs do pipe in at higher, so they take once a month and they fully man. I'm sure portion controls are not minded, but but the kids love it, and so we are really the boots on the ground in the cafeteria. We have about we have 4 parents who are serving behind the lines. We have 2 cashiers. We have a trash monitor, and so on any given day, you have about 10 parents who are scrubbed in, wearing aprons, and a part of the school. And it has been that way for years upon years, and it really is. It is a significant way that we can save the money, save the school district money by just being a part of our kids' day-to-day lives.
And I guess, Ann, how many employees did you say that are actual employees of the campus for the cafeteria?
We have 4.
And so how many kids go through and what time frame?
Yeah, it is a good time, I'll tell you that. So from about 11:10 all the way until right up to 1 o'clock. So it's a mad dash, and the kids, either bring their lunch or they walk through the line. And we have perks like ice cream every so often, and so it is a total machine, and you leave there exhausted and grateful.
As someone who moved into the community about 19 years ago, this was really quite a revelation for me. I was told my son, we moved here in February, my son started, he started PPCD, but he started kindergarten in the fall, and they were like, you don't have to, but you you need to sign up to work for cafeteria duty. And the first time I worked, I served ice cream with John Hallam, who's now probably Melinda's boss. And so it was moms and dads all donating their time just to make sure all these kiddos get fed and to keep the cost of the cafeteria down. That was really quite a revelation to me, just the amount of work that the community goes into to supporting the schools, and just try to keep, and be very budget conscious and try to save every dollar. So Ann, I guess, what's your fundraising goal?
We're very similar to Boone, so we're about 600,000 that we try to raise, and then Lord willing, we go over. But that's where we really, we have those funds allocated and very necessary. So we are continually blown away by the generosity of corporations and families who are on board, I know, with all of us, not just one particular school, but across the board.
Melinda, is there anything that you have learned in your role that you didn't know as just a member of the community that you think it would be good to share with community-wide? Is there anything that stands out, or?
I've been pretty involved in the PTA the last few years, and I really just had no idea what it took to run a PTA, to give back to our community. And, I've also learned you can't make everybody happy, but it's been a lot of fun, and I just had no idea what it would take. So here we are.
And I guess from the funds raised, and do you have a similar budget, about
Yes.
600-ish?
Yes,
Is that
I think
what?
we're all pretty similar. Yeah.
And I guess of that, what's your breakdown from each event? Do you have a breakdown, or do you know how that?
Auction, I think I could probably speak for all of us. That is our biggest fundraiser. Carnival, the event that UP has today, it's really more, it does bring in money, but it's a community event. So that's on the lower end. We do a raffle that's part of auction. Our readathon, we all do a readathon. I would say that's probably our second largest fundraising event. And I think that's pretty similar across the board. Yeah.
And do you have a sense of the dollars raised, how much come from private or corporate donations versus actual events where you all are fundraising?
Gosh, I don't have a percentage in mind, but it's mainly, oh, okay.
I did that math. At Boone, at least, it is about 60% from our fundraising events, and about 40% are donations in some way. We don't really think about it in those terms. We think about it in terms of, raising money via our events, and then we have donations from families, and we have donations from corporations, and we are actively seeking those things at all times. People don't, put the PTO in their will, and we don't get kind of money passively that way. But for us, it's about 60-40. It's probably similar. I had to do the math because math's not my thing.
And then I guess if maybe whoever knows the answer to this question has got a good feel for it. So of the money you raise, like for teacher salary, it all goes into the general fund, right? Do you have a sense of how much the teacher's salary is increased, or how to remain competitive from the collective fundraising of all the campuses?
Well, there are a lot of funds raised that help buoy our teachers' salaries. This is a matter of public record. All of the HPISD schools cut a check for $75,000 a year, the PTOs and PTAs. So that money goes in. But of course, the Education Foundation's Mad for Plaid raises about $7 million. So that's a Mad for Plaid that the Education Foundation puts on, goes across all of the schools, and they fundraise for Highland Park's greatest need. And for the last several years, that has been teacher salaries.
And do we have a sense of what teacher salaries are in HPISD compared to surrounding school districts, how they compare?
They are lower. Rachel, do you want? Sure. I feel like I'm hogging the mic.
No, I'm not hungry for it. We have a lot of conversations with senior administration staff at the district, and this is information that they share with us so that we can go and share broadly as to why the fundraising for teacher salary is so important. The district has been working very, very hard over the last couple of years to raise our average teacher salary from the bottom quartile to having a goal, bottom quartile a handful of years ago, where you would, the list of all of the districts in the Dallas-Fort Worth area having Highland Park ISD at the bottom. And now we are probably, depending on the tenure of the teachers, Highland Park ISD is probably somewhere in the second quartile. The district has a goal to get us up to the top quartile. So off the top of my head, the average starting teacher salary is in the neighborhood of maybe $57,000. So if we can do $3,000 to $4,000 to $5,000 more on an annual basis, that will move us into the top quartile of our goal of reaching, getting our teachers to, getting our district to be more competitive from a compensation perspective.
And we've been talking, I guess, about straight salaries, but I think some of your fundraising efforts also supports teacher development. Is there anyone want to take that one?
Sure. That's part of our gifting that we give back to the school. So our PTA will pay for different conferences and staff development for our teachers to attend to, travel to, be a part of, also having different staff development that might come to our school. Our PTA pays for a lot of that. So.
And I guess in recent years, I mean, all of you are the PTA presidents of recently rebuilt elementary schools. So I know in years past, like when my kids there was always a lot of tech updates and push for techs. I mean, is that still an emphasis because the schools are new, or is like keeping up with tech just an annual ongoing battle?
It's an ongoing thing. Every year we have to replenish iPads, we have to replenish Chromebooks, desktops. So it's an ongoing push for technology.
And you know, I think probably for most of us, it's been a while since we sat in the classroom. There's very little paper used in a classroom. It's all, you know, tablet-based or mostly tablet-based nowadays, and so it's very important to have all of those tech updates.
I'll jump in and actually brag on the district a bit this year that they have made a very conscious push to reduce the amount of technology used in the classroom at all grade levels and to ensure that the amount of technology is appropriate for the grade level. So you might not have the same amount of technology at a kindergarten level as you would at a 7th grade level. But it's been a big push this year, and we're hearing really, really good things about it. Technology is vitally important, but it's important to be used in the right way and in a strategic way. So I just want to make sure, give that little plug for the district, because I really feel like they're doing the right thing.
Okay. And I guess general operations, I mean, I guess just building maintenance, does any of the funds you raise go towards that, or is that a difference, the pile of money?
One, I'll jump in and say that PTA at Bradfield will do a sizable gifting related to landscaping needs, for instance, planting trees. The new build for tearing down old Bradfield and building new Bradfield, we lost a lot of our very old established trees, unfortunately. It's going to take us a long time to get those back. So that's another example of kind of operating funds, whether it's replacing shrubs, trees, curtains in the classroom that break, things like that. So those are examples I have.
Ours are similar. We do a pretty heavy landscaping every year.
I'll make one obvious comment about hire. If you have driven by recently, we have just turfed our soccer field, which is a huge deal for us. And that was a result of the PTA and the cafeteria coming together with surplus and wanting to, as operating as a nonprofit, wanting to be good stewards of the money that we have and not just sitting on it. And so we worked closely with the district, and they were incredibly supportive. We had just a flood issue on our field. We actually, I spent most of the spring trying to document ducks making their home in puddles. And I'm very proud to say that we now have a beautiful field that is operational every single day of the year. And so that, to your point, Sarah, is we have a beautiful new school. So we don't need new water fountains. We don't need, and landscaping, I think, is a continual battle, especially in Texas when you have crazy heat and then you have to replant. And but in Hire's case, we were able to make a sizable, move the needle in a sizable way this year. And certainly that is not the case every year, but that was one thing that we were able to do because there's not a need otherwise.
And, Rotary is a service organization, so we have, various nonprofits that we work with and partner with in order to accomplish those goals. But, manpower is a huge deal, right? With any service organization, essentially, that's what you all are doing, right? You're serving the school district and the community. Do you have a sense of how many volunteers you need annually to get the work done?
I'll start and y'all can chime in. So I have a board of 8 ladies who are on my executive board, and then that stems down to about a board of 60 who all have specific titles over a job at the PTA level. But then once you start adding in like the 200 volunteers we need for cafeteria, and the number starts to multiply very quickly. So you have parents who have a specific title, but then you also have the trickle down of we have room parents, we have art room volunteers, we have I reshelved books for an hour this morning in the library. So you really have there's always a spot for everyone. It sounds like I'm a recruitment chair here, but we want parents to be there. We see the significance of having face-to-face time with our kids and with our teachers, and so we are a mighty team of parents, and it's just in talking to teachers that come from other districts. We have a wonderful new librarian who was blown away. She had never had a volunteer come through her library. And so I said, well, we will either be your greatest joy or your greatest nightmare, but we are here by the hundreds.
And I guess, what is your biggest challenge? Is it fundraising, or is there something that maybe we don't see looking in?
I mean, it's definitely fundraising. Our parents are so wonderful and so supportive, but there are always moments where people work, and we'll need, our carnival is in a couple of weeks, and we will need probably 50 volunteers to get carnival off the ground. So there's always a little, Anne's right, you have to kind of sound like a recruiter. At Boone, I have a board of 9 on the executive board, and I have about 80 chairs, and the rest of the numbers are pretty similar. 210 or so in the cafeteria. We've got about 80 room parents. There's some overlap there. But we have about 350 families. I would say 300 of them, either the mom or the dad regularly volunteers with us. But it is a volunteer army, so there are management difficulties occasionally. I would say, though, our biggest issue is always fundraising. We need a constant kind of stream of money. And we are very lucky that our community is so generous. Our parents are so supportive. One of our donors is right here. Hi, Clement. We raise all this money, we give it to the school, and then next year we do it all again. Every year.
Just want to emphasize that. That's $600,000-ish every year. And all of those volunteers every year, and not just every year, but every day that the kids have to eat lunch every day. I mean, just think of, essentially, they're all running fairly good-sized businesses over here, just in what they're doing. I mean, it's a nonprofit, but the time and the talent, and I guess your team that you have to make that happen is really quite remarkable.
I have a friend of mine was a former president at Boone, and she moved to Charleston, and she was describing the PTO to someone. And he said, well, that's like a mid-sized nonprofit that the entire board and staff turns over every single year. I thought, well, yeah. It's kind of amazing.
And Ann talked, I guess, about their special project of the turf. I guess, do any of the other campuses have any special initiatives for this year?
I mean, we're all jealous of Hire's turf. But I don't know that any of us are ready to announce that yet.
I'll show you the way when it's time. I know a guy.
So, it is an election coming up. HP does have a bond coming up. Now, these are all the presidents of nonprofits. They are not here to vote one way or another, okay? Or to tell you how to vote one way or another. But is there anyone, I guess, who would be willing to just briefly summarize what is the bond and what is its purpose?
Okay. Will you help me? Sure. Okay. There are 4 topics. I'm not going to remember all of them, so I'm going to just kind of be general in the comments. There are some very immediate maintenance needs at the schools that have not been rebuilt. So you guys may have heard MIS and HPMS have had some very significant flooding, pipe leakage incidents where we're just lucky that they didn't happen during the school day, because then you would have potentially 1,800, 2,000 kids having to be temporarily sitting at the elementary schools to take their classes. So millions and millions of dollars on HVAC, plumbing, infrastructure needs at HPMS and MIS. There's needs at other facilities needs across all of the schools, primarily the ones that weren't rebuilt, but little pieces at our elementary schools as well. And I think one of the other ones that is really important and near and dear to all of our hearts is there's some adjustments that the district can make between things that they can currently expense that they can essentially capitalize, which will free up funds that can then go towards supporting teacher salaries. So there's just a movement of capitalizing things using bond funds that will free up other funds to support increasing teacher salary, which we've been hearing a lot about. There's bond funds that would go to improve safety and security across all campuses, and then finally potential to acquire land as need be or as opportunities arise for the district, being a very landlocked district, properties adjacent to our current schools. So those are the, I think I got them, those are the 4 things.
Okay, thank you for that.
Can you tell we've been talking about it a lot?
Thank you for providing that summary. Now, our club has what we call a Legacy of Leadership class. And so it's typically about 12 to 14 individuals. And at the end of it, there is a service project, and it's an 8-week, or there's 8 sessions that kind of go from fall to spring, in which we learn about different aspects of ourselves and strengths and weaknesses, and then that comes together with a service project. And from there, you know, those also become leaders within our club. So within your individual PTAs, what's your track to leadership? What does that look like?
You know, I feel like when you start at the elementary level, you start small. You might be a room mom, or you might chair the bike rodeo, but I think you just learn to love to give back to your school. And I think every year that you're there, you want to give more, you want to give more. There's not really a higher role within our elementary campuses than the PTA president, but I think we are all people that love to give back to our community, so I imagine we will continue to do that as our children grow, and there's just lots of other ways in the district, you know, Mad for Plaid and Education Foundation. There's just many ways that we can just keep giving back. So anyone want to add?
You know, I love how you said just a legacy of leadership, and I know that we probably each have a unique story of that. As I mentioned, I went to higher elementary. My mom was PTA president when I was in 4th and 5th grade, and with the Aldridges, and so I witnessed firsthand what it looked like for my mom to be very present and everything. And I think what I really take away is how she was present when I was at higher. They were present when I was at the middle school, and they were present when I was in high school. And so my heart, and I would imagine the heart of these ladies, is wherever my kids are, that's where I'm going to be. And so to be able to throw everything I've got at higher PTA right now, and I have my oldest is a 5th grader, and so I know that time is coming. But just to be where my kids are, that's the legacy that I'm following. And so to be able to do that, you know, Lord willing, that my boys look back and say, Mom was always there, Dad was always there. So that's my goal.
And I guess, do y'all coordinate very much, or how does that work? Are you know, just at the own campuses? Or
these ladies are my ride or dies. So we are, I think there's been a really sweet history of the 5 PTA presidents really locking arms. It starts early when we don't even know each other on a text thread, and then just slowly getting to know each other, and really like we're each other's sounding board. So we're very much, there is a really sweet sense of team. There's not at all a competitive edge. We all deeply love our campuses for their unique aspects, but at the end of the day, we're all Scots. And so to be able to say, okay, what is the best way that we can individually guide our campuses towards that end goal? And so, we're known for late night text messages and a lot of, comic relief as well, because, there's things that only these ladies would believe. I'll say, you won't believe what just happened, and they'll believe it. So there's a fellowship among the elementary schools that is, having nothing to compare it from, to as I've born and raised here, but it is really sweet. And these ladies, I have no doubt if I go down that one of them will jump in for auction at hire. So very grateful.
So we'll open it up to questions from the floor. Someone wants to come grab my mic so we can walk around and take it. But I encourage each of you to read their bios. You received an email. It's in the hub. And I just want to give each of them a round of applause, because these are women who have busy family lives. They are basically working probably what is a full-time job for the school, right? And they're devoting their time and their talents to make our community and our school district a better place. So while we pass the microphone around, just give them a round of applause, please.
The academics, I know that's always high on the list for the school district. Who's your biggest competitor, or how do you get that academics better and better and better? And you do every year.
Well, the academics are really a little bit out of our purview, except to the extent that all of our goals, it's always to enhance our children's educational experience. So in that way, of course, the academics are, within our scope. But we have a new principal this year at Boone who's just been wonderful. But one of the things that we have been very successful with at Boone is something we call kid talks and class talks. And so they take our administrators, sit down with our teachers, they look at each individual kiddo's test scores, they look at what they're doing in the classroom. And a lot of times in Highland Park, all of our kiddos are fairly high achieving, and so it can be difficult to move that needle. But our administrators have been able to sit down and drill down specifically, like, okay, let's look at this kiddo's math. And look, we were in the 99th percentile across all of these areas, except look right here, look at this one place. And they'll deploy some, additional work there, and sure enough, that next term, that kiddo's test score goes up. And our state report cards, one of the things that Highland Park tends to get dinged on the state report cards is growth, because it is very hard for high achieving students to show growth. And so that is kind of one way that we've been able to do it. I found it to be very impactful at Boone. I know the other schools do similar things.
Well, first of all, having walked the walk in your shoes 20 to 30 to 40 years ago, I found when my kids were in elementary school, which you are, your children, lots of parental involvement. And then when we got to middle school, not so much. And by high school, we were like ghosted. What happens in Highland Park? Is it different now than it was?
Great question. And I feel like I'm on the front edge of figuring that out with having a new middle schooler. But I will say that MIS and HPMS, they have wonderful leadership among their PTOs. We have a lunch every month with Dr. Rockwood and his team, and all elementary, middle school, and high school presidents and president-elects. And so there is a presence at the middle school and then into the high school. It does look different, and I think that kind of grows with the age of our children. My second grader is delighted that I'm always at school, and I suggested that I walk my fifth grader in, and he about died at the thought of me walking in. And so, but they do have the same burden, of cafeteria. And so there's always that. So, that's my foot in at the middle school is, well, then you're going to see me once a month, and so it just looks different. Would y'all say that? But there's a strong presence. I think it transforms as our kids grow.
So I know for a while we were concerned that teacher salaries in the Park Cities was not, or Highland Park Independent School District was not competitive, and we were losing teachers to other school districts. You said the average for us is $67,000. Huh?
57.
You said 57, and 3,000 more would move us into the upper tier, I think you said. Does all the money from Madford-Plaid go towards teacher salaries? And of your $600,000 that you raise in each elementary school, does any of that go towards teacher salaries to keep them in our district? They have a hard enough time because they can't live around here. You know, they've got to live in other areas because it's difficult for any of us to afford it, but especially the teachers.
So each of our schools, we do a $75,000 salary pledge. And like Tara mentioned, Madford-Plaid, they give to the greatest need. And so for the last few years, the greatest need has been our salaries. And that is where the direction of those funds are going.
I want to follow up on the legacy of leadership comment that Ann made. Her mom, Leslie, was a Grand Marshal of our parade about a decade ago. My question is, I've heard PTA, PTO, organizationally, are you differently organized at this point, and what would be the effect of that functionally?
I'll speak to it because we're the only PTO. So now to be a PTA, a Parent-Teacher Association, you have to be part of a national group. So all of their PTAs were formed prior to that, so they are grandfathered in. Boone has a PTO, and the middle school did a reorganization, and so they have a PTO. Functionally, we are identical. We are a PTO so that we do not have to be a part of that national group. They have kind of bylaws, stipulations, and dues, and so we have different names. We function exactly the same.
Okay, well, last question.
Hi, I attended Armstrong and Bradfield back in the day, and I have a first grader at Boone Elementary. As most folks know, Highland Park offers K through 12 free of charge as your tax dollars, but Highland Park has started to offer preschool more and more and more, and it's starting to grow, and it's popular. My question is kind of an additional source of revenue. As the PTO, are y'all advocating with the school district to increase the preschool offering more and more? Because right now you have to essentially apply. That's one question. And the school district hosted an event just the other day about the preschool application. And as someone who has a 3-year-old who would love to send his 3-year-old to preschool at Boone, so I have one drop-off and one pickup, and both my kids are at the same school, we were very discouraged to find out that we pretty much had no shot of our daughter getting into Boone because of when Highland Park purchased the property from Northway Christian Church, there was a deed restriction, essentially a non-compete, that said you can only have a max of 15 preschoolers at Boone. That's not the case at the other elementary schools. So it's very limited at Boone. Are y'all advocating or working with Northway Christian Church on to change that so more Boone parents can send their kid to preschool?
Well, I'll answer since it seems to be for me. Hi. Yes, we would love to have a bigger preschool program at Boone. The PTO doesn't really have the standing to kind of advocate for that, but the district certainly is, and it's always something that they're, talking to Northway about. The other schools have had, just so everybody knows, the other schools have expanded their preschool programs in recent years. It is very popular. It is either tuition-based or you can qualify for it and attend for free if you have a special need, whether that's ESL or if you have some physical limitations or learning differences. So they're blended classrooms, blended age, and kind of a mix of students. So they're very popular. I really wanted Teddy to go to there too. He didn't get in.
Well, thank you, ladies, for gracing us with your presence and answering all these questions and being grilled by so many at one time anyway. So a book will be placed in your name and your honor at the I always forget this, Jack Lowe Senior Elementary School. And so thank you for being here. Let's give them a round of applause for all that they do and for informing us about this wonderful, wonderful PTO. Next week, Sarah Ollier will also be the chair of the day. And we have next week, would you like to say anything about it, Christina?
Christina Merzen's coming to talk to the group about a tragedy that her family experienced, but the Merzens are a very active-based family. They see a need, they want to try to tackle it and make it better. And so from this family tragedy, they've started a nonprofit in which they're trying to breach some gaps between technology and law enforcement. And so she'll be here to tell us a little bit about that next week.
Great. Thank you so much for informing us about that. Now let's all stand as Sean Johnson comes and leads us in the four-way test. And it's been great having you here today, and you can either stay up there or come down, whichever way you'd like to do that. Sean?
All right, if you can join in with us. The four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned?
There you go. Thank you. Appreciate it. Good job. Thank you for coming. Oh, you bet.
What a pleasure. This was really
well,
fun. Thank you.
I was just motivated by what you guys were saying, and it's great.
Thank you, sir.
You all do a great job. Thank you for
so
coming
much
and
for having
sharing
us.
with us.